regular meeting of the Argos School Board. Call to order at 7:01. And we'll begin. Doug's going to start us in the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Invite each and everyone to observe a moment of silence. Okay, kind of moving into item number 3, communication from patrons. Okay, and item 4, approval of the minutes from the regular meeting, July 10th. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. 4, excuse me, Kirk's not here. Thanks for the correction. 4-0. Okay, item 5. Approval of personnel changes.
Yeah, board, we've listed our personnel, catching you up to date from the start of school, and employment, resignations, reassignment, coaches, and it's all listed there, and volunteers, and so you can take as much or as little as you want, or if there's any questions, we'll answer them for you, board, but it's our recommendation to approve the personnel changes as listed.
Okay, so unless someone would like to discuss anything in particular, I would take a motion to approve personnel changes A through F category.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion to approve A through F. Thank you, Jenny.
I will second that.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion on the personnel changes?
John, Rusty's Zippelman, it's a new name, can you say it just a little? Zippelman?
Zippelman, yeah. I'm sorry, what's your
I just wondered what, I don't recognize the name.
He's been a volunteer assistant. It's Gary Teal son.
Oh, okay.
He's been a volunteer assistant for a while, and with Kelsey Hall about taking the job out elsewhere, he's moving up into that role.
Okay.
Might give you an update on number 9, Tim Good, junior, senior, high skill, life skills teacher. Tim is an employee of Jesse, the special education co-op. He's going to become, if you approve this, an employee of Argos as a special education teacher, and working with the other school districts in our Jesse special education co-op. We 2-week notification, and so we're working to have him come as soon as possible. We're hoping yet this week will be some days, so we're moving ahead, but we're working because that's opening up a position for our special ed co-op. So just information on that.
On the athletic department, John, are they still doing a percentage like they were last year? And so what was that percentage
Percentage for what?
on Rick and Shelley Schaefer?
15%, same as last year.
15, okay. Do we have any numbers from last year at all that, what
I think I
what
have.
we got anyway?
Particular numbers like on,
Revenue.
Yeah, just revenue.
I would say it is. I think I've got it in my report here.
I think it's in your report you're going to do later.
Yeah, it's around 5,800 though. but I'll double check that when we get to it.
Okay. Any further discussion or questions? None, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 4-0.
Very good.
Got it that time. Okay. Item number 6, approval to change September and October meeting dates to September 25th and October 23rd. I believe those are both the fourth Thursdays instead, or Mondays instead of the third Mondays, right?
Correct.
Okay.
One is fall break and one that I will be out of town at that time, so we'd request to move them back one Monday if it's so approved.
Is there a motion to that effect?
Yep, I move we change the 2 dates as listed.
All righty.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion, question? Okay, all in favor of changing those 2 dates, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, 4-0. Item 7, adoption of the 2018 budget for the general fund, the capital projects fund, bus replacement fund, and the debt service fund.
Let me give you a little update information board, and I know you've received documents, but tomorrow at 9 o'clock, there's a public hearing at the county building in Marshall County Building in Plymouth, and that will be a public hearing on our budget, and then the adoption meeting by the county will be October 9th, a Monday at 9 a.m. So those are, Jennifer will be representing us tomorrow at the public hearing, but I want to say just a little bit about the budget. We've advertised the budget, and as you know, the state of Indiana really puts school districts in a difficult position doing the budget so early in the year. To do the budget accurately, you need to know your enrollment. State doesn't count kids for enrollment to the third Friday in September. So you have to have a budget before you know how many kids you have. Why, I don't know, but that's state of Indiana. So, and the other thing, we don't have a certified assessed valuation, which drives the budget also. So, state requires us to advertise high, then when those things are known quantities, the state will cut us back. So, long explanation, short, when this budget is finalized, we don't see any significant changes to it. It's basically like our 17 budget. It's built off our 17 budget. We don't expect any substantial increases. There could be a little tweaking there depending on enrollment and depending on assessed value. But the spending is stable. The spending is not going to be greater than what we're doing now. So I will give you the numbers if I may. We have advertised in the general fund $3,995,295. Debt service $906,472. Pension debt, very small and soon to be paid off, $46,654. Capital projects $806,767. Transportation $430,000. Bus replacement $122,000. I will guarantee all those numbers will be cut back. But until we know how many children we have enrolled the third Friday in September, and we know the state certifies our assessed value, we won't know how much it's cut back. But it will be, we don't anticipate an increase, so we'd recommend approval board so we can go to the county for a public hearing tomorrow, and then October 9th, the county will adopt also. Try to answer any questions, but that's a short version of where we're at on the budget.
Any questions or discussion?
I'll just clarify for those in attendance that the board has had access to the budget for several weeks, so we have spent individually amounts of time reviewing the budget, asking questions, getting questions answered. And Ned was able to answer my individual questions, which were a lot.
And I appreciated that.
To my satisfaction. So just so you know, it's not like we're just seeing this budget that's, this thick. for the first time tonight.
That's true. And I do appreciate the board's questions and getting the dialogue on it, so I feel very confident this is a good budget for Argos.
I move we adopt the budget as presented.
I'll second.
Okay. We have a motion to adopt and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 4-0.
Mommy, here's a summary page. I know I sent you about 4 inches deep of paper, but trying to get it in a brief summary might find
Yeah,
helpful,
this-
front and
yeah,
back.
this will be-
So that'll be a helpful page for you as you move forward. We'll let you know when the state cuts it back, what the final amounts are and how it compares.
Okay, moving on to item number 8, approval of the paving project for the main and back drives.
Monty, I probably listed this on the agenda in the wrong order. Could we talk about repairing the drain before the paving?
Sure.
Because
We'll move to item 9.
Thank you. I think that would be important.
Okay.
I have a little map here,
Okay, item 9, approval of the drainage project, then we will turn to item 8.
because the drainage project goes through the paving, and I don't want to pave this until we get that resolved.
That makes sense.
Yeah, thank you. We don't want to cut up new blacktop if you approve the blacktop. So what you have here is our, outside of our building, the entrance to the elementary, the entrance to the high school, and in red is where our buses usually park. Well, not really, though, where they'll park on August 28th if you approve this, but the drain that drains our surface water from the building and our grounds is plugged and has been plugged for some time. We have the start of a sinkhole, and Doug knows this, and we've been looking, can we clear that drain? So we've tried to auger it, we sent cameras down there, but the drain has collapsed. It's just been a lot of years. So we've had a lot of people look at it. The recommendation is that we put a new drain in, and to do that, it comes through our yard out front and then goes to the catch basin that's closest to the entrance to the junior senior high school, main entrance here, okay, right out here. And they can do this in a day. They're looking at August 28th, which is a week from today, to do this. And so for one day, we'll have to move the buses a little and have all the staff park back in the student parking lot, but they'll cut that through. And then we can fill that trench and we can get rock on it and gets a little time before the asphalt comes. So our new asphalt will not have that problem, but they guarantee us this will take care of our drainage problem, and they don't think the other drain, catch basin is open. The one we're heading to, they'll hook it up, they'll do it all, and so my recommendation, Bob Frame Plumbing Services out of South Bend had a quote to put in a new 6-inch stormwater line to the catch basin and solve our problems around the building and draining off the roof. The quote is $16,676 to trench it, put the new in, hook it up at both ends, fill it, and get the rock on it, and that'll give us some time before we tackle this blacktop project, so we don't ruin our new blacktop. So that's why I wanted to talk about this one first, because I don't think we should do blacktop unless we address this problem, because that drain has not worked in a long time and really needs to work. Any questions, board? So we have a plan for a one-day modified dismissal because of the hooking this up. But should not really affect us too much. The junior, senior high school kids will have to walk out and around, and the elementary kids won't be bothered. They can just head to the elementary and won't really get into this. So glad it's the older kids that'll have to walk around.
And out of the capital projects fund? Out of capital projects?
We will take this out of our bond issue to repair this.
Okay.
Okay, good question. Could be either one, but I think that's probably a good use because we're looking at repairing things out of the bonds we sold. But we could make either one work if you have a different player. But I'd recommend out of the bond project because this part, we had this quoted in there, And that was part of our plan, and the blacktops also was in that issuance.
Did you say it's 28?
A week from today, yes.
28.
Is that the 28th that I get the right date?
Yeah, that's what you got on top of the sheet. isn't it?
Yeah, I might not have said that, but it is the 28th.
How long is this project? How many feet?
Let me see if I have it here in their quote. I'm not sure if I have it right off the top of my head. They do not give me a length, they just give me the work to be accomplished. And they gotta go through yard, they gotta go across the major sidewalk and go through our asphalt, but I don't have a length, sorry. It is a 6-inch line.
Probably 300 feet, just guessing.
It's closer than I can think.
Because they're going from the elementary green down here all the way
Yes,
across.
and then we gotta
tie it
pick up,
back in
yeah, we
this
gotta
drain.
pick some others up, so we're
Pick up
going
the building
along
drains.
and out. See,
3 building drains, about to run fingers in off the main and then out and 50, 60 feet out into the drive.
it's connecting all these drains where that water's just pooling and starting to cut under the building. Needs to be done.
Any further discussion? Okay, do we have a motion to approve the drainage project as presented?
I'll move to approve the drainage project.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion moved and seconded. Any further discussion or questions? Okay, I call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, 4-0. Okay, we're turning now to item number 8, the main paving project.
Yes, when Dr. Boyd was here, he had worked on the paving project with E&B Paving, and we had received several quotes from E&B. And this was in your packet, but I'll run through it. To do the main and back drives, so all the way across the elementary and all in front of the junior, senior high school, clear around the building until it ends back there. Basically everything, if you look, there's 2 different colors of blacktop out front, and that's where it would stop, because the one's a lot newer. And so it's all of that going around, it would be the main and back drives portion, and then they bid the rest of it, the student parking lot. The main and back drives is what I'm recommending at this time, and that's for $65,869.46. And it would do 1.5 inch milling, stone grading and patch prep to get it flowing in the right direction, since now we'll have the drains working. 4-inch base for stone and 1.5 inch surface, and then re-striping of everything. And we really can't do that when school's in session, and we would pay a major premium to have it do it on weekends. So if the board approves it, I've been asking them to hold a window open for fall break. And we can still get around the building and use the student parking lot and that, but couldn't bring buses in, couldn't pick up and drop off of students. So we do have a window for fall break. If we don't get fall break, it'd be spring, because we really couldn't get to it. The student parking lot that I'm not recommending was $167,852.44. I've talked to them several times about that. They really feel that with some maintenance next spring and summer on that we can get some time out of that yet. I'm not 100% convinced of that, but I think maybe we best order is to tackle it in 2 stages anyways with the cost of it. So I would recommend approving E&B's paving proposal for the main and back drives. And next time you're out there, you can see exactly where that is if you look at the different colors of the asphalt. where the parking is out in front of the junior, senior high school, all that parking is repaved and around those catch basins, all in front of the elementary, junior, senior high school, and then clear around the building, all of that. So does about everything but the parking lots. But $65,869.46 with the intent that we will have the drainage work done at that time, and we will do this during fall break. And they think they'll need 3 to 4 days to do it, but they are assuring me they'll get it done in fall break. But if they don't, that's a major problem, so it has to be done in fall break. Questions, board?
Did they give an indication on what the underlying solution was in the student lot back there?
Yes, they have given me that, and I'd like to bring that to the board later on, but it needs some patching, and it needs some sealing, and some sealing of cracks even before the winter, and so I'd like to maybe get on that too, if they say it can buy us a few years, and I'm certainly not an asphalt expert, but that's what he was saying, that could do that. No, that's the major cost, getting into that parking lot at $165,000, so I think it's.
I guess the source of my concern was,
Yeah.
you know, that there's been a lot of settling and almost like sinkage in that
Yes.
lot. So I wanted to make sure that whatever we did, again, you're recommending waiting on that, but whatever we did along those lines, we need to have some pretty good assurance that, you know, the understructure would be sufficient to handle the load and hold up.
The understructure is not sufficient for anything long-term. That's why it's so expensive. It's got to be all ground down, regraded and everything. So nothing long-term, but they thought for several years, board may not choose to wait that long. You could look at the earliest window as next summer, but really heading into winter, and we only have fall break. If you look what's really broken up bad, it's that driveway as we head around, and so I recommend it in that order. But I agree, that's not in good shape, and it is not a long-term solution to wait long-term on it.
Does that include back to the ag building, is that when you say back?
Yes, all the way back to the kitchen and where the dumpsters are. It would take us all the way around, which that's pretty bad shape.
bad
as you
shape
get
back
that
there.
way. Real bad shape, especially when you get freezing and thawing.
Looks like they got a few spots here that they're gonna go full depth grind anyway,
Yes,
and put some stone in, 3 or 4 tri-axle loads it looks like, so.
exactly.
They found the soft spots, so they know what to do.
They are addressing the areas that are squishy and that, and building that base up before we put new asphalt on it.
If we could, I guess, those cracks in the back student lot have been concerning us, I think, for
Okay.
some time. So if we could look at.
I will get them in.
And maybe they could get fixed I don't know if they could still get fixed this fall if we go to fix, but I'd also like to look at
Okay.
fix versus replace, so we don't spend a lot of money fixing something that we turn around and replace soon. And I think it seems, we've talked about it, Doug's looked at it plenty, it's concerning, and I guess if we're gonna, it'd be interesting to see how much we're gonna spend to fix it, versus just go ahead and replace it, I guess.
I will get you all that information and bring it to you. As early as, I think the goal would be bring it next month so you can consider the next phase. Does that work?
So I would move for approval of the superintendent's recommendation on fixing the main drive area for the quote of 65?
869.46.
Yeah.
Okay. From E&B paving.
I'll second it.
Okay, been moved and seconded. Any further discussion or questions? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Now we have 5-0. Okay, we already did item 9, so down to item 10, professional development reports.
Couple training sessions for our food service employees, our food service manager that we're wanting approval on. It's a normal thing. They need to go to these things and be trained. So sharing that with the board.
Okay. So we don't need to take any action on that.
No.
Okay, item 11, athletic report. Mr. Alcorn?
Have presentations to pull up. Okay, just running through the first screen there, just a little bit about the fall sports. This is about 2000, last year. We have 10 teams, 170 contests, 170 at home. The thing I like to see is the bottom line, about half of all our high school students participate in a fall sport. Winter, we have more teams, but they're smaller, of course. And as we continue, we are really trying to keep our numbers in elementary going. To do that, we try to keep an A and B schedule. And if we don't have enough to continue that in a certain year, we will go to younger kids, 4th grade. Last year, we used 4th grade only on the girls' side to keep those A and B schedules going. And 26% of our high school students were involved in a winter sport, not counting bowling clubs, which also has quite a few kids. In the spring, we had 50 contests, 25 at home approximately, and about 19% of the students participating. So a lot less in terms of contests, but a lot more hassle scheduling just because of the weather obviously affects baseball and softball more than soccer and cross country. But a good summary is that we have 63% of our high school kids participating in sports. I think that's very good. I love seeing that number. If you would add music and drama to this, we have really good participation of kids in extracurricular things. Just a few quick numbers from the junior high and elementary. The numbers for junior high in those two categories are up, and the numbers in elementary basketball are down, and most of that just has to do with the changes in the classes. For example, we had a very large active 6th grade group that moved into 7th grade this year, and so that's what the numbers reflect there. The school website still is the #1 way to get your accurate results. We've been doing the little schedules, the little paper ones by popular demand. I like these, a lot of people like them. But just from the beginning of the year, we've had 7 requests for changes from our schools. And so the website is still, when I get a phone call or a change that needs to be made, and I put it on the computer, it goes, I'm able to put it to the website, sometimes even before a coach might even know about it, depending on what the situation was. Continue our practice, putting the next season up, so when come November, we'll be putting the new next year's soccer schedule up, even though it will change quite a bit. We just feel when one season's done, it's time to get the next one up there so people have as much possible information to choose that. Of course, the big caveat there is refresh your browser, because if you go there often, the computer saves that, you need to hit that again and go from there. A couple of things on the schedule that are on the website. You can choose a particular sport and get a schedule for just that season. I really like that under quick links, there's athletic calendar also, along with the school activities calendar. And those are nice because they're chronological. So I can go to this week or this month and see all the different events that are coming up there. And I think those have been really helpful. I think putting those two in is really giving us probably better access to a lot of our events and schedules than most schools have. Another one small thing we started last year, we're going to continue, and that is there's a link under sports for gym schedules. And mostly that's used by coaches to find a place to fit into a gym, but again, pretty handy tool. Next one is the IHSA tournaments. We were set to host boys and girls soccer sectionals and regionals this year, as well as a semi-state for girls. But now the IHSA has moved to 3 classes, and as a result, there are fewer sectionals that have more teams in them. So IHSA said you can't host both of them. We would have to overlap too many games during the week. And so they've assigned us the boys sectional for soccer this year. The same thing with regionals. We had worked it out with the other schools to host both of them. But now it's changed to an all-Saturday format with three games. So you can only have one of them, and again, they assign us to the boys. No semi-state this year, after a long habit of doing that. Again, it has to do with 3 classes. Now they're going to move to what basketball does, where they take several classes, and after the regional's done, based on geography, they'll assign 3A, 4A, whatever, to those. And so No semi-state, but we'll keep looking for that. Next slide shows just a couple comments about concessions. The number you asked for earlier was, I have here is 5,700. That's a profit. Rick and Shelley Schaefer have done a really good job last year. They do soccer and junior high basketball. And their goal, if you know Rick and Shelley, their goal is to benefit school, and their goal is to increase profitability. So they've given me a couple different things that they would like to do this year. They're working on to do that. But most of all, they have vision and initiative, which is great, and that's true of a lot of our volunteers. Seeing things that need to be done and taking care of it. I know that Schaefer Springer last year gave me a pretty detailed list of their hours, and they spent over 400 hours working on various things. And it'll maybe be a little less this year because they took care of some projects last year they thought needed to be done, but boy, can't say enough about how important and vital the work they're doing is. This goes for a lot of our volunteers. We saw some more of that this weekend. I was out working on some things, and people all over the place that just see things and they get them done. And you know, that's, to me, that is what really marks Argos in our community. When people see something needs to be done, they pretty much say, hey, well, how can I get that done? I saw some trash cans painted. Looks very nice, John. The one you painted looks very good.
Still working on them.
Yeah, and a lot of weed whacking and chasing some pollen and things like that with the baseball equipment. But we have also several other new folks that have signed up at the athletic parent meeting to help with various different volunteer things. Again, I think that I'm excited about is this will be the first year where all of our athletic financial information should be in the system. We started, I believe it was October last year, stuff was getting in. And so we're just looking forward to being able to actually track the money and find out where things are going and make better plans on that. 5-year plan, we have some things we'd like to do. And part of that is, I believe June 18 is when our soccer payments are done for our lights. And so that's going to be nice. I would like to see baseball and soccer dugouts replaced. We've done some repair on them in the last couple of years, but I'd like to see concrete blocks something a little bit sturdier. I'd like to see a dugout that I can put kids in terms of lighting, so they don't have to run across the field to a metal building. A couple other things still on the back burner there. We'd like to see some practice field irrigation. It wasn't a big issue this year because we had a good wet summer, but dry summer that would be nice. Sports records, a lot of different sports do not have very complete records, and so we made a little bit of progress on that through some of the basketball last year. Still some more work needs to be done. Scoreboards, the main item is we need to replace the baseball scoreboard pretty soon, and so I have a quote on that, and we'll be deciding if we're going to be able to put that in this year or not, but we have a quote on that one. Sound and athletic trainer for the last one is. Mr. Medge met with an athletic trainer and worked through some options. All the options they presented to us were pretty expansive, kind of assumed football and some other things, and far beyond our budget. But we're working with that same person. Can you give us something a little more customized for our needs, even if it's just a partial? If nothing else, we'll be at least on some of the state tournaments. We'll probably utilize them for that. But something we're looking at. Did get a quote on a sound system for the soccer field. We need some work done there, but it was again way beyond our budget. It was about $14,000 for what they wanted to do. And I've talked with a couple other people, and I think we can do something for a lot less money. But we use some local volunteers and things like that, and we'll go from there. But some I think would be nice to be done. Just another last little note I throw in here is not so much athletics, other than just greetings from the class of '67. Just ran into them and they asked for a tour this summer, so we set that up. And just a couple words I thought might be interesting for you guys. This is Barb Brown writing for the class of 1967. Said most of her classmates had not been in school for 50 years, so it was eye-opening and many positive comments were made. Barb speaking says, I feel like my whole life has been invested there. My dad was on the school board. when it was built in 1957. His name's on the plaque above the water fountain. I was a student there from 57 to 67, then came back to teach. Our 4 daughters and 2 grandsons graduated or will from AHS, and I love being there as a volunteer, so just thanks again. But class of 67, it was very fun to watch them tell their old stories on each other and still be embarrassed or denying some of the things that happened back then. So that was just a nice opportunity this summer to do that. That's my last slide.
Thank you, John. Anyone, any questions for John?
I have. John, you mentioned volunteers, and I know throughout the years I've seen those people helping us. What's some of the things we do to recognize or reward the people that help us at the school?
The main thing that we do is give them sports passes and free admission and things like that. And there's been a variety of things over the years. There's been, had a couple guys that just spent an incredible amount of hours doing mowing and things like that. So we bought some jackets. And I believe there's a sign up on the side of the building, a couple years ago some people put it up. So those are the kind of things. And one of the things we really asked for folks on the our athletic meeting was try to open up to people who could do maybe small things too, because you volunteer to mow. That's a pretty big field to mow, and so there are several that are doing. For example, there's one person that is mowing mostly in the on the softball field in the summertime or in the summertime. There's some that do things like that. So we have a couple more people that are going to be doing some small things, and most of them have just said, hey, I love this, I love the school, I want to help out and do some things, and it's kind of nice to see.
I guess secondly too, I came to something the other night and the weight room door was open, so I came through there. I felt like it could use some attention. Is that, I didn't see that in the plan.
Yeah, we've talked about, the weight room is not in the athletic plan. As I understand, the flooring though, for that, which is kind of starting, it's not athletics per se, I guess how it's sorted out, but that's on the school's list.
Okay.
It's on our list, and the flooring we're doing, and that's some more stuff that I'm gonna be bringing to you.
Okay.
'Cause it's actually academic through the physical education
Right.
part that the athletes use it, so
Okay.
it goes in with the academics, even though it's used both ways.
Well, Ned.
There you go.
That's true, I think, also for like gymnasiums and things like that. That's officially how it's done.
Yeah, okay.
The other items on the 5-year plan, though, you would envision the athletic department eventually funding, or you'll be coming back at some point?
Those would be, I would anticipate those being done through the athletic portion of capital projects. I know that there's one of those at the field irrigation that the youth soccer has saved up some money, and they would like to contribute money to do that project. And I know Mr. Metz tried to do that once before, but the costs were beyond what they wanted to do at this time. And so that's where those things would come from.
Need a motion to accept Mr. Alphon's report.
So moved.
Second. Moved and seconded. Without further discussion then, okay, I'll take a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0. Item number 12, instruction report.
That we need today. Acuity testing, acuity assessment testing is A on your agenda board. Not aware how familiar you are with this term, but acuity is a term from the state of Indiana, and it's assessment developed by the state of Indiana to help prepare students and teachers to be more successful on I-STEP testing and state testing. State developed this about 7 or 8 years ago. They market it to schools or sell it to schools at cost, and they've even provided a grant for the schools to pay for it. We've not taken advantage of that in the past, and I am going to be moving us that direction, because what it does, Acuity, it phrases questions the way kids see the questions on their I-STEP test, and it gives them a chance to practice those types of questions. It gives them It also gives the teachers a chance to see, well, here's a hole and here's a gap, here's something they don't understand, even though we've taught it. We can use that as an assessment to reteach. It's not a grade, and it's only done several times a year, but it helps us to drive instruction. Here's areas of needs, here's an area we need to grow in, here's an area this child doesn't understand. It prepares them for this heavy I-STEP testing and this end of the course assessment testing that they have in high school. And so this acuity testing, it's all online, can be done in a class period, so it's not a big, long test like I-STEP is. Heaven forbid they're tested to the over-tested now. But it gives very good information for parents, for kids, and most importantly, for our teachers to help drive instruction. And as we look at an instructional model and how do we make sure instruction is targeting the state standards that our kids need to grow in, this will really help us. We do have a grant, and we will apply for that grant, and the grant will pay for it. But we will be implementing this, and I will have principals in and some teachers in to explain it more in depth. But just wanted the board to be aware that this is what the state has developed for an I-STEP preparation, and we need to be involved in it since that's what's going to continue. And this is morphing into the new I-STEP test and that. And school districts that have used it have seen increased growth from their students and increased performance on that. And most school districts in the state are using Acuity. So just wanted to make you aware of it, and we'll bring you more information later on it. Should I go on to B?
Sure.
I just want to touch base a little bit, B, and I have a PowerPoint here, some things I talked to staff about, teachers and the whole school staff, a little bit how children learn and children are different, and society's different today than when most of us grew up. And this is by a man called Bill Daggett that designs effective schools, model schools design. Next slide. This is interesting for those of us that are 65 or older and somewhere in that age range. First column there, for people in our age, the United States is 78% Caucasian, 6% foreign born, and 9% live in poverty. That's the world we grew up in, the world we've lived in. The next column is the world that children are being born into in the United States. Don't have to leave Indiana. 38% are going to be Caucasian, 19 or 20% are foreign born, and 27%, 1 in 4, will be in poverty. You can see what's happening in America. And I probably, if I would have talked to you, probably have some understanding that we're changing. But schools have to understand that children are not the same. They are different, and it doesn't mean that they can't learn. It means they may learn in a different way and have different needs. They can learn very effectively, but we have to address that fact. And I heard a teacher saying a few years back, well, I'm waiting for the good old days when these kids come back. Well, you're going to have a long wait because it's not going to happen. America's changed. And that, no matter how we feel about it, is the reality of America. And it's a reality of Indiana, too. And so we need to be aware of that. Next slide. When we were young, our closest relationships were our neighbors, our colleagues, our extended family, our churches, our religious institutions, and activities our kids are in. That was the people that surrounded us, our neighborhoods, our neighborhood kids. We all learned in that way. The community was the closest circle to our family. And then the outside green were political things and job and career and sports and lifestyle. That's the way we were raised. That isn't happening with children today. Next slide. Today, it's just reversed. The closest relationships due to the internet and electronic media, many times are the political, the job, the sports, the lifestyle. They're all wired in, they're all connected. And you've got to realize that these kids, many of them are getting bombarded with that as they head through the school system. And many times neighbors and colleagues and church and religious institutions are being pushed out to the outer thing. It patterns people in different ways. And not making a statement that it's good, I'm just thinking we have to have some understanding that the world is changing. Next slide. Job changes. Some jobs are increasing, some jobs are decreasing. Next slide. And this looks at job skills through 2040. If you look clear back at 1980, you look at that green and is it brown or sort of reddish color in the middle? That was the middle class. All 2/3 of the people in America. Look what's happening to the middle class. It's getting squeezed. We see that in schools and we see that with children and we see that in our communities. So what's increasing is the poverty level, the low skill level, and the high skill level, and the middle class is getting squeezed. As we educate children, look where the jobs are. They're in that yellow, they're good paying jobs, they're high paying jobs. We need to train children to be successful, to be in that yellow group as that yellow group grows, and we need to beat that curve so more and more of our kids can be competing in that area, because they're gonna get squeezed in that middle part as time goes on. So we're just trying to look a little broader and a little longer scale as kids go through our schools. What are we training them for? Make sure we're giving them the skills they need to be successful. Next slide. We need to think career ready. Giving kids skills that they can be career ready. Many kids are going to go on to higher institutions of learning. They need to be ready so they can go to higher institutions and get career ready. And the ones that don't go on to higher institutions of learning need to be career ready also. So, our goal is for all of them to go to that yellow. That's where we want to send them. Most of us were taught on the rigor column, A and C. The teacher just give you more rigor. But we need to connect with today's learners in the relevance column. And D is the most powerful area. They need to see relevance and they need to see rigor. And our teenagers today won't just sit there and take the rigor like kids 30, 40 years ago. They'll want to see, how does that connect? How is that relevant to my life? They'll ask you questions. And fair questions. We need to get them to the D category. Let's go into a couple more slides, and I won't go into this much more in depth. Obviously, we want our kids in the D column. Next slide. A and C were pre-internet. Next slide. B and D are required in the internet age. And 100% of our kids' lives are in the internet age. Not 100% of our lives, but 100% of theirs will. Next slide. So here's just a couple words how it works. In the very lowest learning is A. The teacher works. They're standing in front of a lecture and they're lecturing and kids sitting there taking notes. That's the lowest level of learning in today's world. But if you give more rigor, you get the student thinking. That's an improvement. If you get the student working and the student thinking, you're in the D column, and that's where the real learning takes place that are getting them career and college ready. And that's what we have we're talking about as a staff. How do we get that so we get more and more of our students, our goal is 100% of them, get them in that D quadrant so we can get them college and career ready. That's our business, to be successful with all children. It's the best thing for our community, it's the best thing for the state, it's the best thing for America, it's the best thing for our culture, to get them all career and college ready. So that's our work job. I just wanted to show you a little bit, board. We spent quite a bit of time on this opening day, but I wanted to show you a little flavor of what we're talking about as we target instruction for our children and give them the very best we can give them. That's all I got on the instructional report.
Any questions or comments for Ned? I thought it was very interesting.
It is interesting. Sort of shocking how much our world's changed.
Well, I think, from just philosophy, it's very easy to get bogged down with the details on the rigor and the challenge and lose sight of the application.
Exactly.
I think that, that's always something that we have to keep the mind and the eye on, because it's not naturally just gonna happen. You have to be mindful and be, intentional about the way that you're designing your curriculum, the way that you're approaching the instruction of the kids in order to get them there, because, as you said, relevance, all the other things are well and good, but relevance is really what it comes down to once they leave these halls. Whether it's workforce, whether it's continuing education, whatever it is, you want them to be able to contribute in some fashion.
And if they can't connect all that rigor to relevance, how productive are they gonna be? And so we've got to connect that.
Okay, so we need a motion to approve the report, or?
I'll leave that up to you. You really don't need one. It's
No,
just a
okay.
report, but whatever you wanna do.
I wondered about that.
Yeah. So, no, we don't need that. It's
Okay.
just a report I'm sharing to show direction we're working with staff on.
Okay. Anything further on item 12? Okay, item 13, approval of donations. First one's listed, go ahead.
Hi.
Hi, Mark, I think you're the first one.
You're it.
We don't always have to do this at a meeting, but I like to, because I like to tell you guys thank you. You let us use your back 40, and that helps kids. But if you remember last year, I think we gave about $570. This year, I would like to tell you we gave you $1,200 between the varsity girls soccer, the cheerleaders, and the FFA. Those three groups helped us more than they probably will ever know. So we want to say thank you. We want to keep you in our good graces, because we'll be back again to keep going.
It's called a win-win. Thank you.
It was. Those
That's
groups
awesome.
were great, and I hope next year I can double it again. So thank you.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mark.
We appreciate it.
So Mark, I know you like to talk, but could you briefly comment about what you feel the success of year 2 compared to year 1 and where you're heading in year 3?
Well, like I said, I can't tell you how many people, I'm not a good judge of people that were there. The fireworks are still our main draw. Just the amount of people that we saw, like parking was more than doubled, so we can use that as an indicator. We were able to add food, different events, and that's what we're gonna keep trying to do. All we're looking, I don't wanna beat this dead horse, we're not trying to mimic the Blueberry Festival, but in working with them, as much as we can give back to our non-for-profits, that's what we're trying to do. So the more groups we can get in there, if they make money, it helps us by draw people, and the parking is a great, I had people when we started last year, shouldn't charge, but that was the whole goal in doing that, so that they can make money. So, and I think it's done very well for them, and hopefully it'll continue.
Plus, we had a grant from the Marshall County Tourism to help with advertising, so I think we got out in front, and got a little bit of advertising. That being said, there's still people in Argos who didn't know the festival was going on, so.
And didn't attend.
Didn't attend, so we're still working on that. We anticipate it to double again next year in size. That's our goal. It'll more than double. So.
We like you working all year round for 3 days a month.
And we do, we've already, Doug's on the committee with us, Phil Dean, we've already started meeting. Like I said, it takes us that week for that day and a half, but it's great. So, and we all enjoy it. The more we can give back and the more people we can just give that, I don't know, that something positive for once. So.
Well, I think from a community standpoint, I could see improvement, and then I worked down there with Argos Dollars for Scholars, and I think we were able to, we added the fun run, I guess, or the run this year, which I think went really well. So it's nice to see that. I guess I'll say, Ned, it'd be nice, I think, to see the school get even more involved. So as we get closer to spring, hopefully we can work with them, because all these people, many of these people are just driving right through our campus, and I thought, man, if we had we do this and we do that. So just keep in mind that the more kids we can get involved and administration involved with helping and planning.
Well, it may be nothing more than coming up with a flyer to hand out to each vehicle that talks about the school.
Yeah. So
Appreciate that. I agree.
just
Let's look to do more partners.
as we get closer, if we can, it'd be nice to see some of our school groups more involved specifically, so,
I like the idea.
okay?
Thank you.
Because they're doing a good job. A lot of people working hard. or a small group of people working hard, but more working hard would be even better.
Yeah, I thought it was great. Okay, B, Gentech.
That was included in your packet.
It's just a donation.
Donation.
We'd like you to approve the donations, please.
Okay. Okay, so is there a motion to approve those 2 donations?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Doug. A second?
Second.
Okay, any further discussion?
Well, I think I say it every time, so I don't want to miss it. Gentech constantly gives us things to help with our fields, and our fields look nice because of volunteers and their donations. So once again, appreciated, Mandy, Andy, make sure, you know, sometime your dad should come to the meeting, so. Yeah. But anyway, I tell him when I go out there, so we appreciate it, big or small, they do a very nice job in helping our school.
Yes. Great. Thank you. Okay, well, take a vote to approve those donations. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0. Okay, approval of claims.
Good evening. You have a claim docket in front of you, 12 pages of accounts payable, $496,479.33. 3 pages of payroll, $326,714.72 for a total of $823,194.05. I am asking for approval of these claims.
Do we have a motion to approve the claims?
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, any questions for Jennifer on the claims? Okay, all in favor to approve those claims?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay. Motion passes 5-0. And the financial reports.
Got some slides I want to show you, board, on the first half of the year as we closed it out, and very quickly here, we'll get to it. Next slide. And you can see the general fund, 50% of the year expired, and we spent 51%, and that's not an issue because we're paying off some contracts and new people coming in, but we're right where we need to be with that, and I feel comfortable with that. On the general fund, next slide. Capital projects fund, we expended 36% the first half of the year. So that looks real good at this point. Next slide. Transportation fund, we spent 41% of the fund the first half of the year. Next slide. And looking at the total amount of money we spent, and this is comparing the last 5 years at the end of June each year. And you can see what the state's doing to us with the amount of income we have. But this is our expenditure. So you can see how flat that is. And increasing enrollment would help that up curve. But that's the way it is as June 30th, looking at the 5 years, which is a pretty good historical perspective to see where we need to be and where we're heading. And do we have another slide? Is that the last one? That's what I want to show you, board, is halfway through 2017, budgets are healthy, the school district's stable. We anticipate 2017 to be in good shape as we head through the rest of the year, and we just want to bring you a very brief report on that each school board meeting. So, any questions?
You mentioned enrollment, I don't know if you touched on this earlier, but preliminary figure was positive 19.
Yes.
We're still at that figure?
I don't know if we're at 19, and we've had some kids come and go, and we've had some that haven't, are still trying to figure out whether they're coming to school, which they need to be here. We're rounding them up. And one family said, well, I didn't think we started after Labor Day. And I said, well, that's been years.
Got one more today.
See, thank you. So we still believe we're up. It's just the final number, and I have a meeting on Thursday with counting special ed kids. We have some issues in counting them with some of our neighboring districts. We're educating them, and they want to count the kids, and we educate them, and I expressed a little concern. If we're educating them, we're counting them. And so I have a meeting Thursday to iron out. So bottom line, as of today, I expect a positive number still. I'll keep you up to date, but we won't know for sure to the third Friday in September. A positive number would be really good for us.
Nice change.
Yes.
Okay, anything further on the financial reports? Okay, we'll move to item 16. Comments from Ned.
Just one comment. My goal was to make it an hour, and I'm sort of failed you, board, but update on our preschool. Open house is tomorrow, but so far we have 8 children enrolled and about 12 children and families that expressed an interest in coming to open house. So our goal was to have 10 as we opened. We have 8, and we have open house coming, and the other interests we feel like will be there, but we're monitoring that and see where that starts out. So the open house will tell a lot tomorrow, but I'll let you know. But just an update of where we're at on the preschool enrollment and surveying the community on that program.
They will still go even if we only had 8, right?
It'll go at 8.
Right, okay.
We'll have more.
We'll probably have 10.
Yeah, we'll have at least 10, but yes, it will go, a lot of interest, and we'll just see how many start when we start, or it's gonna take a little while to transition them in.
Okay. Is there a ceiling? Oh, sorry.
Yes.
Can you remind the public about the funding for the preschool?
Yes, I appreciate you bringing it up. The funding for the preschool, this preschool program is paid through a grant we have, and it's paid through parents' fees and payment of it, and there's a sliding scale whether they're free or reduced or the full thing, but everyone pays something, and it's self-sustaining. It's not operating off of tax dollars. And this is to get children prepared to be successful in kindergarten, which is a huge thing if we can get children to be successful when they come to school. Thank you.
Is there a ceiling limit number?
15.
15?
But what would happen if we got beyond 15? If you ever looked at 15 4-year-olds, that's a big job. I don't think I'd volunteer for it, but we'll come back to you of teacher age.
Some of them
that
in first grade, don't send them home.
Don't send them home, okay.
First grade, make them first graders
But
for 3 years.
if we get to 15, we'll have to look for some help for this teacher. Or we won't have a teacher, which I understand. Good point.
Sounds good. Anything else, Dave? Okay. Well, we'll move into board comments. Started down with Jimmy last time. Dirk?
Well, I was late to the party tonight, so I guess I'll just not say anything.
That's allowed.
Okay.
Well, I need help. Patty, we helped with, not STEM, but
Steve.
STEAM. So I don't know if there'll be a formal report, but we helped with STEAM, which was a science and technology program that they put on after school in the elementary. And I think there were 40-some families attended. So Patty and I did the airplane in the gym project. And I guess I would say it was neat to see so many families come together, a couple parents, and usually a couple kids. And we let the kids participate who, they all kind of participated in our area, making a plane if they wanted to. But it was neat to see the parents actually interacting. I was even surprised how much the parents interacted with the student trying to make the airplane or do the project versus, well, I'll go with you to the meeting. You know, I know you have this at school, I'll go. In our area, I would say every one of the parent groups help the kid build the project, which I think is really important compared to just, yeah, I'll bring you to this thing and drop you off. And it's my understanding a lot of parents commented on how much they enjoyed the evening. So that's what I saw, and it's an effort of our, I think it's led by Jen Stoltz, And it's an effort by the teachers and the staff to have to come in the evening to do something. What's, not Old Gold, but Old Gold was a sponsor of it. So a good evening.
Well done.
Looks like we're off to good start for the year. Thanks for all the volunteers. Good luck, coaches. Thanks, Ned. That's all I got.
Okay.
He said what I was gonna say, so.
And ditto, I'm particularly excited about the positive change in student numbers. I think that's awesome.
Let's hope
Even
that
if it's
does
just
not
a
change.
few. So, and thank you all for coming again.
I move we adjourn this meeting.
Okay,
Second.
any discussion? Okay, it's been moved and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.